In today's video, we are going to break down that elusive square on point. Let's get started. This is one little unit that is used loads in patchwork. It becomes the center of many blocks, it becomes borders, and I am more often asked in classes, how on earth can I change that size without a math degree? Because regardless of the math that you use, which is what perplexes most people, I want to give you a little bit of history and talk about the block and some optional methods that you may use to execute it. First of all, the element, as you can see, this is just one big square that lives inside another square in essence. And in doing a little history research, when I want to know how a block got its name or what its real history is, my go-to is most often Barbara Brackman's Encyclopedia of Pieced Blocks. It is one of the best references. It is a book that I think might be out of print, but I'm betting you can find it. And when I researched this element in that, I found that Barbara cited many references where this block dates back, where we can identify who printed and called it something in the early part of the 20th century. So like from 1920 to 1930 or 40, we have evidence that this block was called a triangle design, broken sag, Dutch tile, friendship album, diamond in a square. You may have heard this referenced as another square living inside a square. So there are many ways to execute this. There are specialty rulers in the industry that do this job. You know, I have no preference on the method you use. My goal is always, do you know how to do it? In other words, if you found a tool that did one size and you didn't want that size, can you do another? So I want to show you how to break it down and do your math. And for this purpose, I just called it square on point. I don't care if you call it chicken. Here's what it is, and here's how we're going to break it down. Your first job when you decide you want this element is how large is the entire thing going to be? It has to be done on finished math. So don't say it's going to be 3 and that'll be 3.5. No. What's it going to be when it's all done? Let's choose a number. I drew this with my little 4-inch square, so I just laid my little 4-inch square down, and I drew a square. Not real well, but I drew it anyhow. So that is A. So what's my whole square? I don't care if it's 3, 4, 5, I don't care if it's 2 1/4 or 2 3/4. You have to make that decision. So mine is 4. So I made my A, whole thing 4. That's A. B is half of A. If B is 4, or if A is 4, excuse me, you already know what B is, don't you? B is half of A. So the B would become a 2. Now these are all finished sizes. C, that little square that lives in the center, is merely the diagonal of B. So it is from this point to this point right here. And there is no way in the world you can give me a size that I can't execute in about 12 seconds. Because the only thing I have to do is pick up my rectangle ruler and my square ruler, because all the square rulers have a diagonal line. So if here's 2 and I want to know what the diagonal of 2, I just measure that little diagonal right there. I just drew a 90-degree corner because I think it's easier for you to see this with the ruler laying on a piece of white fabric. If I go to the 3-inch square, you can see this right here. I'm on the 3. Now the important thing to look at when you're picking a ruler, here's 3 1/4, here's 3 1/2. That little mark in the middle is the 3 3/8. So I've got a 3 3/8 at the top, and I've got a 3 3/8 on this box. So a square ruler is your best bet anytime you're going to cut a square. So let's go back now like we were going to cut, but pretend here's my 3, here's my 3 1/2. I need this line in between the two. So there it is. Now, here's 3 3/8 coming down, and there's 3 3/8 coming across. If you cut these precise, then when you start to assemble, you don't have to do any repair work, but your tool has got to have 1/8" markings for you to pull this off. So now that we've found 3 3/8, and obviously if I needed a bunch of these, I would have cut the strip a precise 3 3/8, but I just grabbed a piece. I'm going to cut a square out of it. So your decision will be made on how many you need. I'm just going to cut up. And now I'm going to have to cut across, so I'm going to be in the camera a little bit here. And now I have my 3 3/8" piece cut for the center of my unit. That could have been any size we predetermined, but we've chosen this from our previous conversation. Okay, now I have pre-cut my strip 2½ inches for the corners of this unit, and I'm going to do this with the half square ruler. So as you can see, I cut the 2½. If it had not been a ruler, I would have cut a 2 7/8" square and cut it in half. So when I lay my ruler down, what I'm looking for is that upper left-hand corner. The 90-degree corner of this white fabric has got to nestle in that corner. If you are using this brand, now there are other brands of half square rulers that may not read this way, but that's what I'm looking for. So I need 4 half square triangles to finish this unit. So let's cut this one. So there's my set 1, and I'm a right-hander. So then my set 2, the only thing I'm going to do is turn this ruler over, and now you can see where 2½ lives, and you can see this little pointy end. So I have to position this at the 2½ on the top with this little nose hanging off, and there's my second cut. Now, let's pretend that this fabric was 2 7/8. If it was, and I'm going to just pretend, I would have cut a square, and then I would have simply cut that square in half. If I had cut this traditional, I'd have 2 points because I would have cut a square and cut it in half. When I use the tool, it leaves a flat top and a tip when I'm working with this tool. So just so that you understand, if you didn't have the tool, all you had to do was cut a 2 7/8" or a predetermined size and cut it in half, and you'd have what it needs to finish this unit. The very first thing that I do is, and this will certainly save your life when it comes to positioning these, is I fold that center square in half, and you can see I'm just finger pressing it. And then I'm going to turn it the other way, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. This will also help you prove that you have cut a square, because if it sits up wonky like that, then you maybe didn't get your square. So I'm going ahead and I'm finger pressing. Now from the back side, you can clearly see my little cross marks. Those are real important for me when I get ready to add this half square triangle. So let's lay it down. Now, regardless of the method you use to cut this triangle, look at this. If I pretend that this corner has got to be in that mark. So let's don't look at the outside right now. Let's look at this. This has got to be in one of these folds, and just make a decision of which one you're going to put on first. Now my job is to just align this. Do you see how from this point you're accustomed to knowing where to start and stop sewing? What's so complex about this is it's not got a clear picture of where do I go into the machine, which is why this is my solution. Now I'm at the machine, and for those of you who've watched me sew, you know that, first of all, I have a 1/4 inch foot that I know precisely where everything lives. My needle is in the center position, and my needle is in the down position in a piece of fabric, because now it's ready to make a stitch, and I have less likelihood of eating that first piece. Even though my machine doesn't like to do that, it can. So I'm going to now go to the needle, and at this point I double check that that tip is still in the center where I put it. Now I'm just going to sew this first unit. And I'm going to pick up another piece and put it in. Cut. Finger press this as tight as I can, and I do not go to the iron here. I find it more trouble than it's worth. So there's the first corner. So this is the way it was, so now I'm going to put the opposing corner on. So let's do the same thing. Let me position this first. See, that point now is in that center fold, which is precisely where it needs to be. I'm aligning the edges. Now I'm going to go back to my machine. Every time you move your fabric, double check that center. So now I'm going to go back to the machine. So I'm going to fold that back again. Now, if you cut your triangles with a ruler, when you pick up the third one, that flat top actually, look where it puts this. See how the flat top, because of the nature of the way we cut these, it almost always aligns itself. So at this point, if you look at this, as long as my flat top is aligned, then I'm on the money. If I had cut traditional and I had 2 points, I would still adhere to this point right here. Now I want you to notice how this V right here is exactly in line with my needle, and then that I have kept my nose in the right spot. So now all I've got to do is just start sewing, and now I'm just going to sew through this pretty slow so that you can see that I'm using my stiletto. Now, in the event that I cut poorly, my triangle might not have fit, but if I look at this point, always trusting that this can be fixed. The center of this cannot. And with nothing in my machine, do you see how easy it is for you to see when the needle hits this V? That tells me that I am a smack-on 1/4 of an inch. So by pulling that piece of fabric out, it showed you this is what you're going to shoot for, regardless of what your foot looks like. As I'm sewing, I always want to make sure that I keep my alignment as I sew, because in case your machine is a little aggressive in feeding, you can override that. The very first thing I do is take off my points. I just kind of take those off like that. And if you cut with a ruler, even where your flat top is, you're always going to have a little point there. And I'm a real fuss budget on cleaning this up. Here is our unit ready for the center of our block. Now, I don't care what size these are, and don't get caught up in this. People go, well, it's 8s and I don't do 8s. Well, then if you don't do 8s, you better have somebody do this for you. And certainly years ago, we did this element in a Mary Ellen Hopkins technique where I started out with the entire base size of A, and then I put connector corners on it. And if you have any of my earlier books, you very likely would find this segment that we did that way. And I'm going to be honest with you and tell you that when we did it that way, I truly didn't. Intellectually, I suppose I knew that that's probably what I would do, but it just seemed too complicated to try to achieve. But what I've learned is if my rulers are accurate and I have good markings on them and I can find 1/8 of an inch, and that center square is almost always going to be that. It is going to be a weird size. I can build borders with this for quilts. I can sew with this for a long, long time. And as you see, it's also the center of my little star. So it becomes something that instead of just putting a plain square in there, I could drop this little square on point in there and completely change the look of my block. Enjoy putting this in your new quilt design. We'll see you on the next video.